From a dagger that can destroy the world to a cursed sword, here are 12 magical and powerful weapons from mythology. Number 12. Green Dragon Crescent Blade. Wielded by the legendary General Guan Yu in the 2nd and 3rd centuries AD, the Green Dragon Crescent Blade was said to be a guandao, a traditional Chinese weapon that resembles a halberd. A giant of a man, Guan Yu, asked his blacksmiths to make a polearm that combined the chopping power of a saber with the length of a spear. Believed to weigh as much as 45 kilograms, although some sources say it was no more than 18 kilograms, no normal human would have been able to use it effectively. Luckily, that wasn't an issue for the general. Guan Yu wielded the Green Dragon Crescent Blade while defending Liu Bei, the first ruler of Shu Han. Deified after his death as a sort of Chinese god of war, Guan Yu blesses those who show loyalty and brotherhood, traits which defined him in his life. Number 11. Grunting and Nagling. The two swords of Beowulf, Grunting and Nagling, came to the Gadish hero in different ways. Unferth, an underling of the Danish lord Hrothgar, lent Beowulf Grunting. It was already an ancient weapon by that time and said to have never let down a warrior who wielded it. However, in Beowulf's fight against Grendel's mother, the sword was unable to harm the monster in any way. Nevertheless, Beowulf later returned Grunting with nothing but good things to say, as it was useful in every other battle. The epic doesn't explicitly specify where nagling comes from. Deriving from the word for nail, legends describe nagling as a fine and ancient sword. When Beowulf fought his final battle with the dragon Tyrfing, he chose to take nagling. Unfortunately, much like Grunting, nagling failed the hero in battle by breaking in two, although this time it was because Beowulf's hand was too strong for the blade. Number 10. Gabled. Given as a gift by Aoife, the mother of his only son, the Irish mythological figure Cuchulainn wielded a unique spear named gabled. Its name translated as barbed spear, notched spear, or belly spear. Tales describe it as having special barbs all along the shaft. When gabled pierced a man's body, these barbs opened up, making the spear nearly impossible to remove without killing the victim. A few variations of the myth also give the spear 7 different heads, each with 7 barbs of its own. In addition, Aoife supposedly fashioned gabled from the bone of a sea monster, the coinken, which perished fighting another sea monster. Another unique quality of gabled was the way it was used. Held by the toes, it was kicked upward, piercing the victim's groin. Cuchulainn used gabled to kill not only his foster brother Ferdiad, but also his own son Conla, whose identity was disguised from him during their fight. Number 9. The Taming Sari. Translated as flower shield, taming sari was the fabled weapon of the legendary Malaysian warrior Hang Tuah. It was a kris, an asymmetrical dagger with a specific blade pattern. Legend says that it was also the first of its kind ever created. The Sultan recognized Hang Tuah as the best of the Laksamana, or admiral, by giving him the weapon. According to legend, the weapon had supernatural powers, including making the bearer invincible. Taming sari was unique in that it did not have a sheath. Hang Tuah considered his enemy's body to be the only appropriate sheath for his weapon. Jealous of the favoritism showered on Hang Tuah, various members of the court spread rumors about him, which must have been pretty nasty because the Sultan started clamoring for his head. The Bendahara, or chief minister, tasked with carrying out the execution, instead hid Hang Tuah, repaying an old debt. Thinking he was dead, Hang Tuah's friend Hang Jabat began slaughtering everyone he could find. Eventually, the Bendahara revealed his hoax. The Sultan pardoned Hang Tuah but ordered him to kill Hang Jabat. With a heavy heart, Hang Tuah killed his friend with taming sari after a lengthy battle, throwing the dagger into a river after he was done. Kind of similar to Excalibur returning to the lake. Number 8. Ruyi Jingu Bang. Ruyi Jingu Bang was the weapon of choice for Sun Wukong, the Monkey King hero of the Chinese novel Journey to the West. Ruyi Jingu Bang was an iron rod imbued with magic. Translated loosely as you wish golden ring clasped staff, the poetically named weapon was normally about 6 meters long. However, if the user chose, Ruyi Jingu Bang could go from being as small as a needle to as tall as the heavens themselves. The iron staff could also make infinite copies of itself and fight independently. Obtained at the Water Crystal Palace of the Dragon King of the Eastern Ocean, the weapon allowed Sun Wukong to protect his feeble master Xuanzang on their journey in search of Buddhist scriptures. The Dragon King, who believed it to be a simple metal rod, bestowed ruyi jingubang upon Sun Wukong. This weapon was said to have been the pillar used by Yu the Great to measure the depths of the Great Flood of China and to eventually end the flood. Number 7. Gram. One of many legendary weapons in Norse mythology, Gram was the name of a sword wielded by Sigurd, the hero and central figure of the Volsunga saga. Originally possessed by his father Sigmund, the sword was broken into 2 pieces during a battle. Sigmund gave the pieces to his wife, hoping they might serve his unborn son someday. Regin, Sigurd's foster father, eventually reforged the sword for him, creating a weapon so strong it could cleave an anvil in 2. As payment for fixing Gram, Regin instructed Sigurd with the task of killing Fafnir, Regin's dwarf brother, who had transformed into a dragon after killing his father over some cursed gold. After first avenging his own father's death, Sigurd went to Fafnir's lair and killed the dragon, with some tips from Odin to win the fight. Sigurd then cooked Fafnir's heart because Regin wanted to eat it. Sigurd tasted the heart with his finger to make sure it was done. After the blood touched his mouth, he gained the ability to speak to birds. He overheard 4 birds talking nearby and learned of Regin's plan to kill him for the treasure. Seeing the guilt in the dwarf's eyes, Sigurd beheaded him on the spot. Number 6. Amours. According to a medieval legend, Julius Caesar, most famous of Roman emperors, wielded a sword named Amours during his time as general in the Roman armies. Legend says that the sword shone brightly in the sun and could kill anyone it managed to hit, hence its name, which means yellow death in Latin. Supposedly, Roman godsmith Vulcan made it himself, and it originally belonged to the Trojan prince Aeneas, who received it from his mother, the goddess Venus. The story goes that it fell from the sky and landed on the future site of Rome, with Aeneas hearing the words, "With this, conquer," in his mind. How Caesar got it from Aeneas is a mystery, but he had it with him during his conquest of Britain, where the British prince Nennius was said to have taken it in battle. For a brief period, nothing harmed Nennius, but he later died from a wound sustained by the same sword. The sword was buried with him. Number 5. Tyrfing. Odin's grandson Svafrlami captured a pair of dwarves named Dvalin and Durin as they left their home one day. They would turn to stone if they did not return home before sunrise. The king forced them to create a sword which would be called Tyrfing in exchange for them to be allowed to go home. The dwarves did as the king wanted, but they decided to curse it. Whenever it was removed from its sheath, it would kill someone. In addition, it would commit 3 terrible deeds and be the cause of Svafrlami's death. A berserker named Arngrim ended up fulfilling the last part of the prophecy by cutting off Svafrlami's hand and killing him with Tyrfing. Eventually, Arngrim's granddaughter Hervor, vowing to be a Viking, set out to retrieve Tyrfing, which had been buried with her father. That sounds manageable, but his grave was on a haunted island. Unable to find reliable companions, Hervor ventured on her own, binding and summoning her father's spirit until it gave her the sword. The spirit spoke of a prophecy that Hervor ignored. Tyrfing would cause the death of everyone close to her. It came true when Heidrek, the brother of Hervor's son, Angantar, wanted to see the sword. He unsheathed it and the blade promptly killed Angantar. Number 4. Sharur. In Sumerian mythology, the god Ninurta wielded a mace called Sharur. Not only did it possess the ability to speak, but it also offered the god advice on powerful enemies, gathering information wherever it could. Sharur was able to do this because it could also fly, leaving Ninurta to deal with other issues. Translated as Smasher of Thousands, it was extremely powerful in the god's hand and was also capable of flying around the battlefield to spray venom and flame. Sharur features most prominently in Ninurta's battle with Asag, a demon so evil that fish boiled alive in his presence. Born from the union of heaven and earth, Asag created stone demons through a union with the mountains and fought against Ninurta. The god triumphed over his enemy, falling in their first battle, but ultimately killing the demon. Number 3. Shiaquatl. Shiaquatl was an Aztec mythological serpent. Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, the sun, and human sacrifice, wielded a weapon also named Shiaquatl. The weapon symbolized the rays of the sun. Huitzilopochtli used Shiaquatl to destroy his older sister, the goddess Coilxauhqui, who was angry with their mother for getting pregnant. Just to clarify, their mother was pregnant with Huitzilopochtli. Their mother accidentally became pregnant while sweeping at Cautepec, where she spotted a ball of feathers and tucked it in her waistband. Even though pictures illustrate Huitzilopochtli with a spear and a snake in his hand, the snake was most likely a spear thrower known as an atlatl, although the word Shiaquatl does translate as turquoise serpent. When Huitzilopochtli slayed his sister shortly after being born, he pierced her chest, which might demonstrate the mythology behind the practice of Aztec heart sacrifice. Number 2. Pasupatastra. The Pasupatastra is one of the most powerful weapons in all of Hindu mythology. This legendary weapon, used via the mind, eyes, words, or a bow, can eradicate all living beings and destroy all of creation. It is only meant for large enemies and is the personal weapon of Lord Shiva. The god gave it to the warrior Arjuna to use during the Mahabharata war. Knowing better, Arjuna refrained from using the Pasupatastra lest he destroy the entire world. Number 1. Excalibur. Excalibur is the legendary sword of King Arthur. In some stories, Excalibur and the sword in the stone are the same thing. The sword, also known as Caliburn, was the famous sword forged in mysterious Avalon, known as the Steel Cutter. Arthur obtains the sword by pulling it out of the stone, therefore becoming the true ruler of Britain. However, in later legends, Excalibur and the sword in the stone are considered separate. In later legends, the sword was gifted to Arthur by the Lady of the Lake. When Arthur drew his sword in battle, the blade would blind his enemies. Its scabbard also had powers of its own that would protect the bearer from all injury. Excalibur served King Arthur for many years until he was mortally wounded during a rebellion led by his nephew Mordred. As King Arthur lay dying, he ordered his trusty companion to throw Excalibur and its scabbard into the lake. The Lady of the Lake raised her arm from the water and took the sword back. Thanks for watching! Be sure to subscribe and click here for more videos. See you next time. Bye!